Am I the asshole for telling my housemate to tell his girlfriend to STFU? I, 23M, am renting a house with 3 other guys. One of the housemates regularly has his girlfriend, 21F, over. Outside of the issue at hand, she's fun, is a creative cook, and seems to be very caring. From what I've gathered, she has a difficult home situation, which is why she bunks at our place 3-4 nights out of the week. This housemate works remotely and I work day shift. Everyone else works night shift, so it's usually just me, the housemate, and his girlfriend home at night, so I don't think the others know that this has been happening. His girlfriend has anxiety. This results in what I think are panic attacks, that last for hours, and they always happen after midnight. Crying, sometimes screaming, sometimes stomping around the house, pounding on walls. The first several nights it happened, I asked if there was any way I could help, but there isn't. I've tried headphones, melatonin, anything to help myself sleep through the screaming, crying, raging. It happens 2-4 nights a week and has been going on for 2 months now. I'm honestly beginning to struggle at work because I'm so unbelievably tired some days. I fell asleep in my car, parked at the house after work, last week unintentionally. My stomach is a mess because I'm pounding coffee and energy shots. One night last week I slept in the concrete basement because it was quieter. Last night she went from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. At that point I had already been awake for going on 48 hours, not entirely due to her. Had to take my mother to the hospital unexpectedly the night before. I couldn't think straight and was starting to feel physically ill from exhaustion. I texted my housemate and said, "Take her to the hospital for help or tell her to STFU because I can't sleep and I have to be at work in 3 hours." I am not proud of my wording and I did apologize. His response was, "She'll be done soon, quit being an insensitive prick." He also told the other housemates in our group chat that I was being oppressive to his girlfriend, while she's struggling. The others are not sure who the asshole is in this situation. Me for how I worded my text or him for calling me an asshole for it, or how to address it. She needs help and I need sleep, so I understand the dilemma, but am I the asshole? Update. Whoa, thank you all for your thoughts. Even the "you are the asshole" votes are giving me a lot to think on. Unfortunately, I have now come down with the stomach bug my parents had, so I slept off and on through the afternoon, evening. I texted the housemate individually and said I really need the girlfriend to not be here tonight, being sick as fuck as I am. They both showed up maybe 2 hours after I messaged him. I will say she was very kind and made me some soup from scratch and left some ginger ale at my door. She said she'd be leaving soon, so I assume he told her about my message. It's going on 11:30 here and I can still hear them downstairs, so I'm not hopeful. Going to get through this god-awful sickness before I decide for sure how to address it. I just hope this is one of her quiet nights if she does stay over. Regardless, I don't have it in me for a conversation tonight. Not the asshole. That is way beyond, let her just be, territory. This is serious mental illness and needs to be addressed, and no one in that living situation can do that. You have a right to a healthy life, too, especially as you're paying rent and she isn't. She needs a psych eval ASAP. Not the asshole. Tell girlfriend to get out. You pay rent, she doesn't. You belong there, she doesn't. Ask her what bills she be paying to be punching your walls. Not the asshole. Record this shit and show the other roommates. Her bullshit shouldn't be your problem. Especially if she's not paying rent. Not the asshole. While you can be understanding to a point, she doesn't live there, and she's interfering in the lives of the people who do. Read the text. Yea, probably not your best moment, but understandable while sleep deprived. I'd call some sort of roommate meeting, without girlfriend, and calmly discuss the situation in full with everyone. Girlfriend as a guest, she doesn't take priority here. Am I the asshole for dropping out of my cousin's wedding party after a prank? Throwaway. My F26 cousin, F29, got engaged a few months ago and asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was so excited to accept. Her sister, F32, is the mo, and there are 3 other bridesmaids. The date is set for April 2024. On April 1st of this year, she sent a PDF to the bridesmaid group chat that really made me angry. It was a list of wedding party responsibilities, rules, and regulations. It included a picture of the bridesmaid dresses that we'd be wearing. They were hideous. And she told us that we'd have to pay $800 for them and that they only went up to a size 8, so anyone bigger than that would need to lose weight before the wedding. That made me so angry because I wear a size 10, but also she's like a size 12, so even fatter than me. Other ridiculous things she added. None of us were allowed to be tanner than her for the wedding, so she told us that none of us could spend significant time in the sun for the next year. She wanted to have longer hair than all of her BMs, so she said that we'd all have to cut our hair to our shoulders or shorter. She wanted to do a choreographed dance with all of us and insisted that we go to 3-hour dance classes with her every Sunday until the wedding, a year away. She said that she wanted her bachelorette party to be in Paris and that we would all need to chip in $3,000. There was more, but I was so angry I stopped reading and muted the group chat for a few hours. I was so livid and hurt that I decided to drop out of the wedding party, but I didn't say anything right away. The next day I checked the group chat again and everyone else had been chatting about how funny the bride's prank was. Apparently at the bottom of the PDF it said, "April Fools," but I hadn't read that far because I was so mad. Everyone else thought it was hilarious, but it still really rubbed me the wrong way. I reached out to the bride to tell her how much this hurt my feelings and she did apologize. But even though it's been almost 2 months, I'm still really angry. I decided this week that I no longer want to be a bridesmaid because of the mean-spirited prank and told my cousin. Now she's really hurt and angry, and the other BMs, and some of my family members are blowing up my phone saying that I'm overreacting to an innocent prank. But I believe that pranks are only funny if the recipient finds them funny, and I definitely didn't. So am I the asshole? ETA. Okay, clearly I've been deemed the asshole and I'll accept that, but I also realize that I didn't explain my feelings very well. I was angry because all of the items in the list seemed to single me out. Expensive dress and bachelorette? I make the least money out of everyone in the wedding party and it felt like a jab. The sizing? Same thing, only me and 2 other BMs are bigger than size 8. The hair? We all have long hair, but I have the longest hair out of anyone in the wedding party. The tanning? I work outdoors, so I'm probably the one most likely to be tan. Everything I read on the list felt tailored to me. Yeah, I'm going with a "you are the asshole" here. You didn't read it properly and leapt to righteous anger. A prank requires a trick is played on someone or it's not a prank. You didn't read to the end and therefore missed the part making it clear it was a prank. I would suggest you're pissed at yourself for falling for something with April Fools written on it. Perhaps speak to someone about your anger issues? Something so ridiculous is something to laugh at, not get angry at. I was twitching when I read the word prank, because usually on here, pranks are code for bullying, but this one? Honestly, that's pretty good. I was actually chucking. And it said, April Fools, right on the PDF? She didn't let it go on for a while? Come on. You are ridiculous. You are the asshole. Info. What made you so angry before you even finished reading? You are the asshole. Okay, I get initially you were angry. Maybe you didn't realize the date. You muted the conversation and still months later you're still hanging on to it. Your choice to drop out, but a friendly suggestion. Let it go, it was a relatively harmless prank. You are the asshole. I'm not into pranks, but this sounds very innocent and actually is pretty funny in my opinion. It's also very clearly a joke. Why did this offend you? Even after knowing it was a joke? I think you're overreacting. You have the right to resign, but your response was over the top. Would I be the asshole for forcibly removing my niece from her mom? So I, 25 male, have a niece, 16F. She's a sweetheart but was brought up with a very stringent education. Piano, ballet and cram class. You name it. She never had any behavioral issues and I adore her. She got a boyfriend last year. I met him and he was a good, honest fellow. Anyways, here was the problem. My cousin, her mom, caught wind of this and was absolutely furious, grounding her and keeping trackers on her. For heads up, I do not have a good relationship with my cousin, but we have kept it civil. She was the typical snobby church mom who thinks that everything about her daughter has to be perfect. Anyways, this morning I found my niece camping in my apartment lobby. Apparently ever since my cousin found out, she has frequently been waking my niece up at 5 a.m. screaming at her in the name of educating her about sex and the dangers of it. My poor niece is visibly in a really bad shape right now. She's already 2 grades ahead with tons of AP equivalent classes here. She also has a bunch of activities outside of her school she has to keep up with. My cousin also removed the locks to my niece's room so my niece can't even get a good night's rest cause she's terrified. I'm currently taking care of her and her mom demanded that I return her child. My girlfriend doesn't mind my niece living with us and has been accommodating to her, but my whole extended family has been pressuring me to return my niece. My niece also said she would go back, but I really can't tell if it was because she's afraid of her mom or she really wants to go home. So would I be the asshole for continue to force my niece to stay with me? Edit. Oh yes, I'm looking into CPS. I'm just afraid that they send my niece into foster care. Edit. So basically, like a lot of people said, that while CPS can still look into this, she is emancipated. That's not the term my friend used here, but basically it means she can consent to where she wants to live in. Meaning that unless my niece specifically stand against me in court saying I kidnapped her, I'm not actually in any legal issues. And I've contacted her dad, FYI he's not with my cousin anymore. Who will be flying in from outside of the country to settle this. Also yeah, my first response was a bit stupid, but I guarantee you it was in good faith. My cousin isn't a gentle parenting parent. So my niece went to school and I settled it with her parents. Her dad's going to be back in a few weeks and we will settle it by then. For now my niece will be staying with me. Also when I say I forced her, I don't mean physically locking her in a room, but as in, I persuaded her really hard to stay. And she said she would go home, but not want to go home. I could tell that she offered to go home not cause she wanted to, but she was scared of what her mother would do if she didn't. Yeah, apparently a lot of people corrected me on that. Family tree is always confusing to me. I just call anyone in my generation or the generation below me by their name. Older generation. Auntie, uncle. Info. At what age does a person become legally an adult where you live? This is a really difficult one. Because ultimately you need to think about if you can realistically afford to take her in. At 16, although legally independent, they rarely actually are. So if you take her in, are you also willing to take on all the expenses she may potentially come with? I think you're absolutely trying to do the best thing for this girl, so not the asshole. But I do think you need to consider what this involves more long term if you genuinely want to help support her. She's not your niece, FYI your niece is your sibling's children. She's your cousin once removed. Not the asshole. She may need to look into emancipation if that's an option where you live. It's likely you cannot do that legally. Speak to a lawyer. Am I the asshole for not letting my daughter visit grandma? A little background. About 2.5 years ago Sil decided to move to NC, we're in WA, for her new boyfriend. After she moved she made everybody else in my husband's family move with her as well, ignoring the fact that our life here in WA is set. We have decent jobs and a lovely home. So after a while, Mill also moved there and also started nagging us about moving. Many stories aside, you see we don't have the same mentality, same lifestyle. Even my husband is angry, disappointed at them for doing stupid things that they do, especially in parenting. Our daughter turned 6 a few weeks ago. Last year Mill came to visit her on her birthday and wanted us to take her to NC so she can spend the summer there with other family members. We said we can't leave for that long, then she offered to take my daughter there and my brother-in-law will bring her back home after July 4th. I definitely said no. She was FR King 5. I can't let her go across the country without any parents. Left alone we don't like how they spend time with the kids at all. All they do is to throw each of them an iPad to play with and call it good. The oldest grandkid, who is now 10, has a FR King biggest iPad, laptop size, since 6 and spend at least 6 hours per day on it. But when Mill got back last year, she kept whispering the idea of spending summer in NC to my daughter, and that made her really excited. One thing led to another, they put me in the spot where I can't say no. I don't want to be the bad guy here. So end up my daughter spent 2 weeks last year in NC through July 4th. Husband and I were devastated. So were our daughter. The day she left she realized we're not with her and she cried to sleep. After the thrill of the first week, she got so homesick and started calling us every hour every day. This year, the same shit happens again. Mill got back for our daughter B-Day, nagging to her about summer in NC again, but this year she's in school so she can't leave till the end of June. Mill don't want to come back to take her there, so I told my husband if he wants to he can take her, just bring her back with him before July 4th. I want to celebrate the holiday with my kid. This dumbass kept promising her to book her ticket to NC and let his brother bring her back just like last year. I lost it. It happens exactly how things was last year. I asked him why did he think it's a good idea to take my daughter away from me on the holiday. He claims that he only said it but hasn't buy her ticket or anything, which I know he will, and if not, what are you trying to teach a 6-year-old here? He ends up left me hanging in the middle of the fight with, "Then you figure it out," and got mad at me. Please tell me, what do I have to figure out here? My mill is using my daughter after she can't convince us. Why do I have to figure things out? And most importantly, figure what out? Please, young moms out there, would you let your 6-year-old spend 2 weeks across the country without you? Am I the asshole here? Your post is a confusing mess of bad grammar and passive phrasing to make yourself look like the victim in a whole family of villains. If you don't want your daughter to go, then you tell her in your mail that she can't go. You are the asshole. Not the asshole. Your husband needs to stand up to his family. He's sacrificing his relationship with you to please his family. If that's his choice, it's time for you to make yours. Everyone sucks here. How are you going to teach your daughter to say no to a bad influence, when you show yourself to be influenced by your peers? Learn to say no. That's all you need. If someone tries to take her to NC, then call the FBI and report an interstate kidnapping. Stop playing nice with your garbage in-laws. Not the asshole. Learn to say no. If you are considered the bad guy no matter what you do, then just be the bad guy. Be a parent first. Forget their opinions. Have a backbone. If they book a ticket, don't go to the plane. It's not hard.